Thanks for joining us once again for the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media, along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
As you see, we have a full desk of papers to talk about today. A lot going on with the work session on the 20th, a rather long council meeting, and then a lot going on in the city as we head into summer. So stay tuned for some of the dates and activities that are coming up. Let's begin with that work session on the 20th ahead of the council meeting. Three main items, two that may come back for further discussion. But the first item was the compensation and classification study. Give us a little breakdown of what that means and what was discussed.
Yeah, so earlier this spring, the council approved a compensation and classification study. This was something that was discussed throughout the 2022 budget process, the need to update our compensation and classification plan for city employees. We had an opportunity to have the consultant out last night to talk about kind of what our pay philosophy or compensation philosophy will be, and then also the comparable cities that we will use to compare our salary rates. So good direction from the council on that one, and now that work will proceed at a staff level, and we'll probably be back with the council later this fall with some updates and kind of looking where the market, where we came out in the market per the study.
Very good. Second item in the work session, reviewing the draft remote work policy. Probably something years back you never thought you'd have to look at or talk about, but it's a reality now. How'd that discussion go? Yeah,
and so this was also a point of discussion during our February council staff planning session. We spent a significant amount of time talking about kind of the changing needs of the workforce and how do we remain competitive in the workplace in terms of recruiting and retaining employees. And so one of the areas we've talked about is the potential for a remote work policy. We see, you can't open a newspaper today without reading an article about these issues in employment in terms of being able to recruit and retain employees. And many of our comparable suburbs have a remote work policy. State and county certainly does, as well as corporations.
Sure.
So we were charged with bringing forward a draft remote work policy. It would allow for up to 2 days per week of remote work. Clearly, many of the positions that we have at the city aren't eligible for remote work just because we do, provide sort of that hands-on service to the community, and we wanted to make sure that whatever we did with this policy didn't impact our service to the public. So a lot of good discussion here, requests for a couple more pieces of information and kind of take a look at a couple different areas. So likely this one will come back to the council either later in July or August.
And one final item on the work session on the 20th, and that was reviewing the local option sales tax ballot language. So something that is coming up, and there's a little bit of a deadline for this.
Yeah, so we need to certify to the county auditor by August 26th our ballot language for that November 8th question about the local option sales tax for the community center question or project. So we presented the council with some draft ballot language and had a lot of really good discussion. Again, a few questions or want of some more information before we finalize this, but we have a bit of time here until probably that second meeting in August would be the deadline. So you'll likely see this come back later in July or early August as well.
And again, we'll talk more about the community center in a little bit later portion of the program, just in one of our updates. Okay, to the meeting on the 20th, the council meeting, about 1 hour and 40 minutes in length. No consent items pulled. First item was in the open forum, some talk about crosswalks. Where are some residents looking to maybe get some help?
Yeah, so we had a couple residents come forward to talk about their desire for kind of those flashing pedestrian crossing, warnings that you can push the button and lights flash to alert drivers that there's pedestrians crossing. We did have some improvements up at County Road 30 and Larch Lane. Up there, a refuge was built, pedestrian refuge, kind of crossing multiple lanes of traffic there. It makes that a little bit easier, but a desire for that flashing pedestrian crossing, and then another location on Rice Lake Road. So Public Works staff will take a look at that. There are some engineering standards you have to meet for that flashing pedestrian crossing, and County Road 30, of course, being a county road, some coordination there, but we will take a look at those requests.
Next item from the 20th was a presentation by Representative Robbins. I'm sure she had a lot to talk about what went on and where they stand now.
Right.
Give us a recap of that update.
Yeah, always good to have Representative Robbins and to talk about what happened in the session. And, some things were accomplished. I think they're, paying back the unemployment trust fund. I think that was really important to local businesses to make sure that there wasn't an additional bill coming for that. And clearly there were federal dollars at the state level to help with that and replenish that fund. And then, of course, the frontline worker pay program that is out and open for application at this time. So that was another piece completed by the legislature. You know, few things left undone. Bonding bill, of course, we were tracking that, of course, we have community center bonding bill included in that, and we had an item in the tax bill as well as in the transportation bill. So those things left remain undone. I think, you know, it depends on who you ask on whether a special session would occur or not. We're getting a little late into the summer now, and focus is going to shift to the elections here pretty soon. So we'll see what happens. But, you know, again, we've got another session coming up in 23, so we'll be back at it then.
Let's move ahead to public hearings, a few on the night of the 20th. The first related to a business that has existed but has some new ownership. Tell us about that process.
Yeah, so this is for Pizza Karma, which is located over in the Fountains, and they had an existing on-sale wine and 3-2 beer license, but this was a change in ownership, so needs to come in for a new application, and then that just gets, that liquor license gets issued to the new owners.
Next public hearing, a project we've been talking about, the Foxbriar Ridge East. This is over by Vicksburg and Bass Lake Road. Plot of land that's been there for a while, but now getting a little bit of an update and change.
Yeah, so this was a single-family homestead that had existed on Bass Lake Road there for many years, and so property owners moving forward with a development there, about 17 lots, and then an additional single-family home kind of on the south end that would be the homeowner's new home. So this one moving forward, and this accounts for, you know, all the utility extensions and road improvements that'll be required for the development.
Next up, a easement vacation. This is something that's been, again, going on for a while and been done in processes.
Yes.
This is another phase. Tell us where this is.
Yeah, so this is just right off of Weaver Lake Road, and the area that kind of sits between now Maple Grove Parkway, formerly Dunkirk, and then Weaver Lake Road. Back when it was originally platted, was kind of platted in a grid style. So there was right-of-way or easements for future city streets that would be connected through there. The property just really didn't develop in that fashion. It ended up kind of being back-to-back lots in those locations, and so this old kind of easement was sitting there, and really no city purpose for it, other than we did retain kind of a 10-foot easement, which is traditionally what we do at the edge of a development, just for utility purposes, for the city to have rights to utilize that piece of land for that. So some, you know, this has been done in steps, as you mentioned.
Right.
Property to the north, doing some development subdivision, and then wanting to clean up that easement there, and some debate over property lines, that kind of thing, so some survey work was done, but I think now this kind of clears that up, and it preserves that traditional 10-foot easement on the property for the city, and property owners can move along then.
Very nice. One last public hearing, there was a update on the unmanned aerial systems, which I had to take a second look at. Mostly known as drones, but this was from the police department. Give us a little background here.
Yeah, so the police department had received a donation from the Northwest JCs for the purchase of a drone, and this type of tool is usually, it's generally used by a police department for the recovery of lost or vulnerable individuals, as well as threat assessment in advance of an event. And so there's a lot of state law with regard to the use of drones and requiring or being in compliance with FAA rules. So we went through the process to establish a policy that has to go out for public comment, and so that comment period was coming to a close here at the meeting, and so had a couple residents speak to that. I think primarily around concerns about privacy, and you know, there's some facial recognition technology that is out there, and so kind of addressing those concerns. Much of that is defined in state law in terms of when a warrant is required for, you know, use in certain situations. So the policy's out there on the website. The police department will take that feedback now, make some tweaks to that policy, and then that policy gets implemented at an administrative level.
Let's move ahead to community and economic development items from the meeting on the 20th. And the first relates to kind of a noteworthy event up in the Grove area, a dental specialist planned unit development. But tell us about the area and why this is rather noteworthy.
Yeah, so this is up at the Grove, the village at Grove. So this is the last lot really in that commercial center portion of the development up there between kind of Target and the hospital that's being developed. And so dental specialists, multi-tenant dental office going into that space, kind of a nice, up at that west corner there across from the hospital. So kind of calling it completed on the Grove. And, they've done quite well out there. I think they're pretty much fully occupied now. They don't have a lot of vacancy. A lot of those spaces have been filled up. So this will complete that development.
Another item we've been watching go through the process is the TriCare 55+. This is out in the western section of Maple Grove, 160 units. What was this step of the process?
Yeah, so this project was in front of the council last winter. They had applied for state funding through Minnesota Housing Finance Agency for this senior affordable project, and they weren't selected in the winter process, but they're lined up now here in July to be selected for funding. So came back to get their final approvals, and this, like you mentioned, on the other side of 94 now, kind of back up behind Menards, north of BioLife, and there if you've been out there, you're seeing the road and utility improvements being constructed to serve kind of that next phase of development as you go north out there. So nice addition to town. One of council's pieces that they've always been paying attention to is the availability of affordable senior housing. And so this is 160 units of affordable 55+. One of the points of discussion was, adding a tot lot, and which seems maybe funny, but a lot of the folks living in that building might have grandchildren that come to visit, or maybe they take care of their grandchildren, and so just having that full cycle of life out there at this MWF project. So looking forward to this one, getting their funding in July and then getting going.
Next item was one of the longer items of the meeting. It was discussion about Territorial Road and the master plan. We've talked a lot about this. It's been through a lot of steps of the process, and parks, one of the big areas of discussion. Recap that for us. Yeah, so
this is the Territorial Road master plan, so kind of County Road 81 to the north, Fernbrook to the west, and then up to the Dayton border. An area that we had heretofore, during our comp plan process had identified for development post 2030. Started to see a lot of development interest in here. Pulte had assembled a good amount of land. They're going to be coming forward with a development called Rush Hollow up there. And so we made the decision to advance the master plan in that area to get kind of the roads laid out, how the transportation system would be connected, as well as deciding on some park locations and what the densities would look like up there. So wanting to get that in place before development would move forward. So lots of steps in the process here. There were open houses, meetings with the neighborhood, Planning Commission reviewed this, Park Board reviewed this, and so just kind of wrapping up some discussion of the park location would be a little bit to the west of where the existing development would start to occur. So I think the timeline for that development, or that park development, might be a little bit uncertain at this point, but Three Rivers Park District does own some land up there that would be part of the location of the park, and they have trail assets up in that area that they would be connecting, and so we continue to work with Three Rivers Park District on those pieces. But master plan did get approved with that park location to the west, and that extension of Maple Grove Parkway up to the north to meet up with Fernbrook. So this is kind of a big deal up there on that northern edge of the city, and we will see the Rush Hollow development come forward at the July 25th Planning Commission then, and get a look at how all those pieces fit together.
Very good. Let's talk about that meeting coming up on the 25th as we give you some upcoming items from Community and Economic Development. That meeting on the 25th will have Rush Hollow and a few other items. What are those?
Yes, we have a variance for garage in a residential neighborhood, and then I mentioned the Rush Hollow development. And along with that, there's need for a comp plan amendment. So one of the pieces that this development does, I mentioned that this had initially been planned for post 2030, so it advances more units in advance of kind of that 2030 timeline, and we're needing to shift some high density housing numbers around a bit. So still working with the Met Council on this one, but looking to have some discussion with the Planning Commission on July 25th about that issue.
Couple other notes coming up in the community: a business having a ribbon cutting soon, an award to the city from the chamber, and also another business coming to the shops area with an interesting story behind it. Tell us about those.
Yeah, a lot of things coming up in the business world. So Trident Transportation will be celebrating their ribbon cutting later this week. I-94 West Circle of Excellence is having an event next week, and Maple Grove was identified as their city partner of excellence this year. So we're happy to be receiving that recognition. And then a new business at the shops called Six for Good, and it's kind of a a little space where 6 different businesses, small women-owned businesses, are going to be living. They have a current location at Rosedale, I believe, and then potentially one, maybe it's in the other one is in Edina. So Googled it real quick last night during the meeting. Six for Good coming to the shops. So that's kind of a fun concept, and small business owned owner type opportunity there.
Very neat.
One other piece, just engineering update. The Main Street project continues to move forward. I noticed this morning they're cutting in on the north end now. There'll be another access point kind of up by Max's on Main, across from 3 Squares. We at the city have long wanted to have kind of a right-in, right-out up there, just to improve some circulation in and out of those parking lots. So good to see that part of the project moving forward as well.
Couple final items, one administrative item. It was ordinance amendments related to some of the sections in the liquor licensing, and this is something, again, has been talked about for a while. A work session back in May. What does this include? So just adds a little bit more flexibility to our liquor license, provides some exemption for experience-based businesses, adds some language around live theater, bowling alleys, adds the tap wall type use to the liquor license code, as well as reduces the the split between food and liquor receipts to 50-50 for the wine and beer license. So just adds a little bit more flexibility and follows on kind of the trend of what we're seeing with more of the experience-based businesses, and then the tap walls interest in coming to Maple Grove. You had a couple dates then to pass along to the council. The first one is on the 22nd, another special meeting, and then a note about the July council meeting, only one in July. Right, yeah. So we do have a special meeting this Wednesday, June 22nd at 5:15 p.m. It's to sell the bonds for our street maintenance project, so that'll be a quick one. Probably be in and out in about 15 minutes. And then no first meeting in July. Our next meeting will be July 18th. Just another date of note in there, we do start absentee voting for the primary election this Friday, June 24th, and that will be done on the second floor of the Government Center. No local questions on that primary ballot, a lot of the state races, so probably a little bit lower volume of absentee voting, but folks can come vote early on the primary election there. Speaking of the election, looking to the general election, one note as the meeting closed by a current council member. Kind of a sad but proud way to end the meeting. Councilmember Phil Leath has decided not to seek re-election this fall. Phil has served on the council for I think over 15 years, and so very long service to the community. Prior to that, Planning Commission, and has been the Park Board liaison, as a member of the Maple Grove Lions Club, and a number of things. You see Phil everywhere out in the community. So his kind of stable, steadfast leadership will be missed up at the dais, but we certainly wish Phil all the best in his next chapter, and congratulations to him and his family, and then we look forward to celebrating his service later this year. Very good. Congratulations to Phil, a great servant to the community. That's it from the meeting on the 20th. Now let's move to some things happening around the city, and we have a few personal items to update residents on what's happening in a few different departments. So we welcomed our new HR director yesterday. She had a long day. We had our work session with a couple personnel items that she stayed for. So Krista Guzman is our new Human Resources Director, and she joins us. She most recently was with the city of Richfield as their HR director, and prior to that worked for the city of Minneapolis in their emergency services area. So a lot of public safety experience in her HR background. So we're really excited to have Krista join our team. She lives just on the border of Maple Grove and Plymouth. So she said this is the shortest commute she's ever had. It took her about 6 minutes to get to work. So so we're really excited to have Krista on board. And then a couple retirements coming up here. Julie Gustafson
is going to be retiring from our assessing department. She's been our senior residential appraiser. We're really going to miss her leadership there. She's been with the city for 16 years. And then in Parks and Recreation, Jean Vestal is retiring after 35 years of service. She has been kind of the facility coordinator for Town Green, Central Park, the Sports Dome, and then the Weaver Lake operations. So Jean leaves some big shoes to fill there. And so those positions will be posted here in the coming weeks. And so those job opportunities will be there, and we'll have an opportunity to celebrate both Julie and Jean as they end their career.
All right, go to the city's website to find out more. How about recruitment for firefighters, something that's really going on an ongoing basis, but some special events coming up, some special meetings?
Yeah, so we have our informational meetings Thursday, June 23rd at Fire Station 5, and then Monday, July 11th at 7 on Fire Station 2, and they're both at 7 p.m. We just encourage people to come out if they're interested. Bring your family to kind of hear what the life of a firefighter is like. We'll be recruiting through July 17th, mgfire.info, and lots of information is provided there. Just a reminder, we provide all the training, kind of come as you are, no experience necessary, and lots of great camaraderie with the fire department, good part-time job, and there's a pension to boot. So we really encourage people to look into this opportunity.
Very nice. Here's another opportunity to serve the city, some vacancies on the Arbor Committee. What are you looking for here?
Yeah, so we do have an 11-member Arbor Committee. We have 2 vacancies at this time. They focus on the beautification of the city through tree planting and the preservation of the natural environment and urban forest. Applications are open till filled, and they are available on our website.
Okay, great. Summer newsletter time. It is out. A lot going on. We're going to list some of those things, but there's so much. You have to read the newsletter sometimes, and it's online as well. Where can people find that?
Yeah, available online, and then you should have received one in your mailbox as well.
All right, community survey. We've talked about that process leading up to it. Now we have a date of when it's going to have some results. When is that?
Yeah, so July 18th, they'll have a presentation at the City Council meeting of those survey results. We had great participation. I think we mentioned the last time, almost 1,000 responses to the scientific survey. So that's a really great number. So we're looking forward to reviewing that data with the council.
Next item, the photo contest. And I saw lots of cameras out at Chalk Fest. So I think there might be a few of those photos in the contest. But what is this contest? Why is it so much fun for residents?
Yeah, so photo contest is open through July 12th, and you submit all your photos through a portal on the city website. We really do use all these photographs in all of our publications, our newsletter, website, social media. So we really encourage people to get out and capture those photos and submit them. And I know you're part of the judging team that does that work. And then we do some awards later here in the summer for those that participated as well.
Great process. Get out and take some photos. August 2nd, a date to remember. That is National Night Out. How do residents get involved? And really, this is a chance for a whole neighborhood to get involved.
It is. So National Night Out is August 2nd, and if you recall, Tuesday, August 2nd, it's always the first Tuesday in August. We were awarded first place for our size city in the country for our National Night Out event. We do encourage residents to get out. If you don't have a neighborhood group established and a block captain for your area, encourage you to reach out to Todd Strigi in the police department. We always welcome new groups in the neighborhoods as well as block captains to join the process.
All right, a few topics to pass along related to maybe your yard or yards around your area. The first is weed complaints. What do we need to know here as residents?
Yeah, we've just had a dramatic increase in the number of complaints about weeds and tall grass, and so we encourage people to use our C-Click Fix system that's on our website. They can submit a complaint there. And then just also of note, watering restrictions. So you might recall last year during the drought, we had implemented watering restrictions, and many cities on a routine basis have watering restrictions. It's just a good stewardship program for water conservation. So no watering between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. and then go into the odd-even system. So if you have an odd number at the end of your house number, you can water on the odd days, even the even days. And so it just really helps us with some water conservation goals.
We mentioned earlier we'd pass along a website about the community center that is growingtogethermaplegrove.org. What is the latest there? What can we find on that website?
Yeah, we continue to update that website with more information. We are going to be getting out more information and education to the community as we get closer and closer to the election here in the fall. So just encourage people to get out and take a look at growingtogethermaplegrove.org, and we will have a in your utility bill. We'll have a utility bill stuffer with some information there as well coming out.
Another item to update residents on, and this is a nice one with an award, the Intergenerational Garden. Tell us how this has been recognized.
Yeah, so the Minnesota Recreation and Park Association recently recognized the city's Intergenerational Garden program with an award of excellence, and this is just a really great program. It's located kind of behind the community center and kind of the grassy area there. Great sunlight, very warm area there. The garden program launched in 2021 with a partnership between the youth outreach program at the community center and senior programs and in our Parks and Recreation department, along with support from age-friendly Maple Grove. So really trying to kind of get those teens and seniors working together on these garden plots. We have 8 garden beds and 18 gardeners ranging from 11 to 80 years old.
That's
so
fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really great project, and then they get the fruits of their labor as well.
From that fun note to a note a little more serious, vandalism in the parks.
Yeah.
Tell us what's been happening and what you need residents to maybe help out, keep an eye out for.
Yeah, really disappointing. A lot of really significant damage in our restrooms. The partitions in the restrooms being torn down, those types of things. So really significant damage that takes us some time to repair.
Right.
So I guess the ask is, really keep an eye. If you see something, say something, give a call to 911. We want to be, a lot of times we'll get a call the next morning about something, and then it's really hard for us to know kind of what was going on last night. So if you hear something, see something, say something, just help us keep an eye on those parks. That damage is, costs money to repair, and oftentimes requires restrooms to be locked for a period of time while we get those repairs done. So help us out.
Here's a great activity that just happened in a park, and then we have some more coming up that will be in parks and around the community. That event that happened was the Juneteenth celebration. Who was behind this and how did that go? Yeah,
so this was hosted by our Parks and Recreation Department, the inaugural Juneteenth event at Central Park. I think they had a great turnout, great day for it with speakers, live music, a vendor fair, and all kinds of food for folks as well.
Another event coming up for your calendar, Tuesday, June 28th. This will be a Pride event, and students behind this.
Yeah, this is a student-led, sponsored town Pride event at Town Green, and on Tuesday, June 28th. The event begins with a march parade around North Arbor Lake at 3 p.m. and then includes student performances at the band shell starting at 4 p.m.
All right, we've got 3 activities and things going on that go on a regular basis. The first is the farmers market, and there's something there that might entice people now.
Yeah, 3 to 7 p.m. every Thursday at the community center, and strawberries are coming into season, so it'll be a good time to hit the farmers market. And we have Town Green coming into season here too, so this week cross-community players are holding their performances of Legally Blonde at the Town Green band shell, so go out and search for cross-community players, tickets available. And then weekly entertainment starts next week, Monday, June 27th. We have musical performances at 7 p.m. on Monday and Wednesday evenings. The family-friendly entertainment is offered every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. And then, of course, the Friday night movies return as of July 15th. Yeah,
lots of fun to be had. All right, the temperatures get up into the upper 90s and 100s, and people are saying, where can I swim? You have options.
We do. We have a lot of options. Community center pools are open for your use. The splash pad over at Central Park, very popular with the little kids. And then Weaver Lake Beach is open. But just of note, no lifeguards at Weaver Lake Beach this year.
Good to know. And again, go to the city's website to find out the hours. We'll give that website again in a second. And now we're looking ahead to July. Maple Grove Day's on the horizon. What should we put on our calendar?
Yeah, we kick it off July 13th through the 17th. Parade, of course, on the 14th, and then all the festivities at the community center and around town on Saturday. So maplegrovedays.org for more information.
All right. I think we got through every paper that we have. So there you go, the update from the city. Heidi, thanks so much for joining us once again. And again, no council meeting in early July. The next meeting will be on July 18th. Website for the city right there in the middle of the screen. A lot of great information, as we mentioned, and some information about maybe some of those opportunities to be a firefighter or volunteer on a commission. maplegrovemn.gov. The next meeting again on the 18th. Phone number at the bottom of the screen. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.